Hello everyone, welcome to Tutorials by Dacade. My name is Dacade, and today we're going to go over the second half of the player pushback from enemies. So in the last video we worked on what happens when the enemy collides with the player. The enemy will stop moving. Now we got to work on the player. So again, nothing to really do in Unity right now, so just open up your Visual Studio and go to your player. And let me pull up my notes. Boom, there we go. All right, so first things first, we need to go up to, my notes are out of order here. There we go. We need to go up to the top here and add some variables. So the first thing we're going to do here is actually create a new header. And we're going to call this player physics. And then put a space there. These two things can stay here, but between movement change and animator, what we're going to do is we're going to add a tooltip. And we're going to put in force applied when player is hit by enemy. Then we're going to serialize that field. And we're going to make it a private float pushback force. And for right now, 5F should be good. We're also going to do another tooltip in here. So tooltip, and then duration of the pushback effect. There we go. And then also serialize that field. And another private float pushback duration. And then we're going to change that to 0.3F. There we go. And then let's just save that real fast. And that's all we need to do really for the variables. So let's get to working on what to do. So at the very bottom, we're going to add another coroutine. And we're going to call this one a private enumerator pushback co. And we're going to take in a vector2 hit direction. With that, we're going to do a float timer. We're going to have that equal 0f, or just 0. And then we're going to do a while loop. Now, I'm not sure if we've done a while loop or not, but a while loop kind of acts as an if statement. But instead of just checking the if statement and then moving on, it continuously checks that statement until that statement is false. So in other words, while the timer is less than the pushback duration. So in other words, it's going to keep running this little block of code that we're going to put in here until the timer reaches the pushback duration, which was, I think, 0.3F that we did. So that little block of code that we're going to put in here is we're going to change the state of the player state to stunned. We're going to change the animator to set that bool to is moving to false. That way the animator is not animating while the player is going through this pushback. Then we're going to do the timer. We're going to plus equals time dot delta time. So that way the timer actually counts. we're going to do my rigid body dot linear velocity equals hit direction times the pushback force. That's the actual pushback of the enemy. And then we're going to yield return null. So all that's doing is essentially saying that's the end of the block, start over. Once this block is actually done, we have to change the player state. We're going to change player's state back to idle. We are going to change my rigid body dot linear velocity to vector2 dot 0. That way the player stops moving. And then is stunned is going to become false. All right. I do believe somewhere in there I was supposed to put is stunned is true. Yeah, I think this was supposed to be here. So we'll put that in there. Is stunned equals true. All right. So now that that's done, we need to go up to where the player takes damage, and we need to make a couple changes in there. So public void take damage. First, we also need to take in not just the damage, but the vector2 hit direction. So the current health minus equals damage health is going to stay the same. We're going to make a couple changes here. We're going to do current health equals math f dot clamp. So current health 0, max health. So what this is doing here, it's making sure that your current health does not go below 0. Essentially, it's the same thing as what we did down here with current health equals 0. But we're going to get rid of that, and we're just going to use the math F clamp. That way, we ensure that the current health doesn't go below 0, because it shouldn't cause any issues, but you always want to cover your bases just in case. So we want to make sure your current health does not go to 0. But what we're going to do is we're going to come down here. We're going to make a private void player death. And this is where we're actually going to do all the death logic. So we're just going to copy this for right now and paste it into there. And in here, we're just going to put player death. So if the current health is less than or equals 0, the player dies. And we're going to do all that logic in the player death function there. But what we need to do is an else statement. So in other words, if the player is not dead, we need to have some pushback. So we're going to start that coroutine. We're going to do the pushback co, and then we're going to do hit direction. And that is all we need to do in player. But because we changed take damage, if we go over to the slime enemy, you'll notice you're getting a little error right here, because player.takeDamage is only receiving damage, or only sending the damage and not the direction. So we need to change that so that way it does what it needs to do. And in order to do that, we need to add one more line here. We're going to do vector2 hit direction, not a dot. And that is going to equal other dot transform dot position minus transform dot position, and then dot normalized. So what this line's doing here is it's finding out what direction the slime enemy hit the player, and all we need to do down here is just pass it in. So hit direction, and as soon as we do that, our little error goes away. We can save that, And then let me pull up Unity here. Let it compile. And once it's compiled, we can test it. All right, so let's go find that slime. Where are you at, buddy? There you are. So he's going to run in. Boom. Player gets pushed back. Player gets pushed back. Slime stop. Player stops moving. And that is how we do player pushback. So I'm going to stop the video here. If this video is helpful or useful to you, make sure you give it a big old thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe. I have videos like this coming out all the time. And as always, have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.